Hi guys, welcome back to my travelling corner, and today we are just making our way around the South Hants area as I try and find all the boundary stops in that particular area. It's another one of those, and it's going to have me going far and wide with this one. I see a bus has just turned up. With that being said, and that is saying there's going to Gunwall, so I think we might have to get the driver to change that. So with that being said, there is a boundary stop coming out of Emsworth, there's one in Portsmouth, there's one coming out of Clanfield, and there's two heading up to Winchester. So this will be the point where I will be relying on getting a train. But with that being said, we will do just that, and we will then just have a look at where the boundary stops then take us. But drop me back in a bit as I'm just about to board the bus, and I will see you on that bus in a bit. Welcome back guys, you've just joined me at the back of the 700 and we're just making our way up to the Hermitage Bridge, which is the South Hants Ticket Zone boundary stop for this bus, because this then continues on to Chichester, and it'd be the first time in ages since I got off at that bus stop. So what we ended up doing at that point, and I don't think I ever did get off at that bus stop either, I just walked from the bypass of Emsworth to Hermitage Bridge. So this will be the first time I've done this on the bus, and I just have to make sure that I keep an eye out for any relevant signs. So with that being said, this is where it all starts, and I'll end up getting another one of these buses back to Lido afterwards. It's going to be interesting how this journey comes about, and the best bit is that I get to take you all along on the ride with me. But join me back in a bit as I get to Hermitage Bridge, and I'll explain as to what's going on from there. See you in a bit guys. And welcome back guys, you've just joined me at Hermitage Bridge, which is the South Hants Ticket Zone boundary stop for the 700 going towards Chichester. Now, the one thing that I've noticed is where the Hampshire side is, I unfortunately won't be able to show you the rest of it at the moment because I'm in selfie mode, so it's difficult for me to turn my phone around. I'm not even using my phone, I'm using my iPad. But with that being said, I've now tipped over into West Sussex, and then out on the opposite side I see a sign welcoming you to Emsworth, and behind me I've got a sign welcoming you to Hermitage. Oh great, I'm just about to miss a 700. That's right. Because what I'll do then is I'll just get the next one. They're every 20 minutes, so it's not really that much of an issue. Not the 700s at least. But with that being said, join me in the next part as I take you on another 700 and we head off down to Portsmouth. See you in a bit guys. Welcome back guys, you've just joined me now at the front of another 700, and we're just making our way now to Portsmouth. We've just arrived into Emsworth. We're now back in the South Hants area. Now, one thing I do need to point out is that I'm using Final Cut Pro here, and it's the first time I've ever used it on my iPad, because normally when I use this bit of software I use it on my iMac, and I'm using it for my weakest link animations, so with the graphics and everything. But I've got other game shows lined up, animated game shows lined up, which I need to get back to. But with that, it's one of those where you would have a look at what's to be expected.
700 to
I think I'm gonna have to go,
Portsmouth.
but I'm gonna have to move because someone needs a priority seat. Bear with me one moment. Let me take you upstairs. First time I've done this on video. This is just as packed as well, but at least this isn't a usual thing for me. Because it's somewhere. There we go. And now we're at the back of the top of the 700. Had to do that because someone was, just in case someone needed a priority seat at the bottom. First time I've done that on camera. Hopefully it'll be the only time I do that on camera. So join me back in a bit and I will take you into Hilsea Lido, which is another of the boundary stops in the South Hants Ticket Zone, and I'll explain as to why when I get there. See you in a bit, guys. Welcome back, guys. You've just joined me now in Hilsea Lido, which is the South Hants Ticket Zone boundary stop, believe it or not, for a rather unique bus because it's just only one a day in each direction. That's right, I'm talking about the 725 from Portsmouth all the way up to Barfoot's Farm. Now, you're probably thinking to yourself, but Darren, if this is a South Hants Ticket Zone boundary stop for the 725 and you're right in the middle of South Hants, where is the next stop after that? Well, I could explain that. That would be that the next stop after this one for the 725 is Westgate Leisure Centre, and that's all the way in Chichester. And I've just seen a 7, but I'm waiting for the 8. But as I say, Westgate Leisure Centre is the next stop following this one for the 725, and it's all the way in Chichester. So it skips out Havant completely. So it goes along the bypass as the 700 would, but then the 700 comes off at Havant, and the 725 just goes straight to Chichester. But with that being said, this is boundary stop number 2, and I'm now going to be waiting to get the 8 to go up to Clanfield, and that will be sort of heading towards where the next one's going. And I'll explain more about what's going on after that. But join me in a bit, and I will be on the back of the 8, and I'll be able to then just work out exactly what to do next, because this will be the point where trains get involved. See you in a bit, guys. Welcome back, guys. You've just joined me now at the back of the 8, just making my way over to the next boundary stop in the South Hants Ticket Zone. But that is after Drift Road shops, and this is where this bus terminates. And with that being said, I'll then swap over at Drift Road shops for a 37, and then that goes to Petersfield. Now, I'm not going to come off at Chopton Lane. I'm just going to go straight past that one, because otherwise I'm going to be stuck at a boundary stop for an hour doing nothing, and that bus stop is literally in the middle of nowhere. It's literally 2 stops before the start of the motorway, because the 37 goes along the motorway. And with that being said, I don't really want to wait around in the middle of nowhere for a bus doing nothing for an hour. Thank you, Amy. So I'm then decided then with that I'm just going to bypass it. I'm just going to go past. Next stop is Gosham House. you've just joined me now in Clanfield as I wait for a 37. Now, I don't know about you, but if you look behind me, this bus stop looks incredibly wonky. If I just show you, if I take it back a bit, you get to see how wonky this bus stop looks. It's slanted off on the pavement. Don't know about you, but I think it must have had a few. But with that being said, I'm waiting for a 37, which is one due in 8 minutes. So I'm not waiting that long. And this is where we end up taking the next bus to go up to the boundary stop of another South Hants. So another boundary stop in the South Hants Ticket Zone. I'm not going to get off at that one because I don't like the idea of hanging around for an hour in the middle of nowhere waiting for a bus. And Cholton Lane is the bus stop that does exactly that. So we'll take it past it as we then will do what I have done in previous videos. I'll then start as we then do 2 stops. I'll then record it as, let me try and get my words up. I'll start recording as we then go up 2 stops leading up to it. That's it. So I'll start recording when we're 2 stops away from there, and then you get to see that in action, and then hopefully you'll get to hear it as well. But it's not just the South Hants Ticket Zone boundary stop. We are in the Waterlooville Ticket Zone at this point. So it also serves as the Waterlooville Ticket Zone boundary stop, as well as the one for South Hants. Now, you've seen me at that bus stop when I covered Waterlooville, the Waterlooville boundaries. So you don't need to see it again. And from what you've seen and from what I can share from my experience, it is incredibly dull and boring. But join me back in a bit because my bus is due in about 5 minutes, and I will be on the 37 making my way to Petersfield, because I'm going to stay on this bus and I'll explain as to what's going on. See you in a bit, guys. And welcome back, guys. You've just joined me now at the back of the 37, and we're just coming up to 2 stops before the South Hants Ticket Zone boundary stop. Now, I mentioned earlier that I'm not coming off here this time because I don't like the idea of hanging around for an hour in the middle of nowhere waiting for a bus. Because this boundary stop in particular really does have you in the middle of nowhere. And you would have seen that when I did the Waterlooville boundaries, and you would call me then going back down to Green Lane, which I think should have been where they'd set it. They should have set it. But never mind. I honestly thought that a little while ago, I say a little while ago, it was many years ago, that the boundary stop was all the way back at the village.
37 to Petersfield.
And that would have been interesting because they must have shifted the boundary stop since then. Because I remember coming here once on a South Hants Day ticket, and well, it was the Mega Rider at the time, which then allowed you all over South Hants, and then it came off, it cut off at Clanfield Village. Always remember that. So we're just waiting to be on the move. This is going to stop at every stop along the way. It usually does. Unless, of course, we get to the boundary stop, and then it usually doesn't. Which makes even more sense to have it a Green Lane rather than Cholton Lane. Sorry, that's a pitch there. And the Hampshire Hog is named after a pub. It's a pub. So I'll have to eat there one day. Certainly would be just pan this round, if I pan my iPad round, I shall show you where I got off. Yeah, it does. It is going to stop here. That's where I got off. That's where I boarded actually. When I came back into the Waterlooville area. And then what I'll do, when we get to Cholton Lane, I shall show you exactly what I'm feeling. For those of you who haven't seen my Waterlooville boundaries video. But this is the one that you need to take notes of. South Hants Ticket Zone boundary stop for 37. It's a bit of a distance as well. I walk all of that. It's quite an interesting walk. But yeah, this boundary stop of South Hants and Waterlooville, I must add, because it's for both, it literally has you in the middle of nowhere. I think I'm going to be waiting here for an hour for a bus. No, there's the boundary stop. No, I don't think I'm going to be waiting an hour in the middle of nowhere. Thank you very much. So, join me back in a bit. I'm going to get off at Petersfield and then I'll end up getting a train somewhere. I'll get a train to Romsey because this is where things get a little bit complicated from here. And I'll explain as to what went on as I planned this video. See you in a bit, guys. Welcome back, guys. You've just joined me at Petersfield railway station. I do have to say, and this just happened again. So as I mentioned earlier, you've just joined me at Petersfield railway station and we have been tangled up with delays on the network because they have emergency services dealing with an incident. Now that is going to happen, particularly when I choose to make a video. Just why? So how delayed this train is going to be, I'll never know, but I have to get a train at this point because otherwise I'm going to be scrambled on the buses. So this is going to be an interesting twist to the tail, but with that being said, well, I'm here now and I'm committed, and I've used 2 of my railway vouchers for this as well. So 4 then becomes 2, but never mind, I will keep you updated as to what's going on. I'm just hoping that I can get on the road or on the rails sooner rather than later. But join me back in a bit and I will take you in on the train back to Havant. I've got a change at Havant and Southampton Central, pardon me. See you in a bit, guys. And welcome back, guys, and I am finally back on track. Well, this is what happens when you are stuck in Petersfield for the best part of 2 hours. Emergency services were dealing with an incident between London Waterloo and Clapham Junction, most likely because someone thought it'd be a good idea to trespass on the line. Wow, it just comes to show that no matter what happens, there are things that are going to trip you up. So I'm just making my way. I was going to get off at Heron and change at Southampton Central as well, but I'm now going to change at Fratton and Eastleigh. Oh, let me just sort that out a moment. I think there might be a ticket check taking place. I'll just quickly get my ticket. Yeah, put that there for a moment.
Good. I'll see your tickets, please. Thank you.
There's my ticket. Always like to make sure that I stay on the right side of the law. Watch one to bits as well. Look at that. The lettering's come off and everything, and it's got a lovely shade of black.
Yeah, it's fine.
Beautiful shade of white that it was meant to be. Something tells me I need to get a new wallet. Put that back in my pocket. I'll get a new wallet eventually. So with that being said, I'm now making my way towards Fratton, and everything's now back on track after all my initial plans have been derailed. So join me back in a bit as I make my way to Fratton, and I'll just let you know what's going on, because I had a bit of a panic as well. I'm trying to work out how I'm going to get to Romsey. See you in a bit, guys. Welcome back, guys. You've just joined me now on a train coming out of Fratton. Now I have to say, at least we have one train company running on time. This SWR have gone horribly wrong. I just can't help but feel sorry for the staff, because the amount of abuse that they get is baffling. They can't help what's going on the track. But at least we're sort of on the move now. We are back on track, both figuratively and literally. And we're on a GWR. This goes to Cardiff Central. That screen behind me is now blank, but I can read it up there as well. So recording Gosham, Heron, Southampton Central, Romsey, Salisbury, Winchester, Westbury, Trowbridge, Bradford Avon, Bath, Bristol Temple Meads, Filton Applewood, Seven Tunnel Junction, Newport, Cardiff Central. Now this, if this carries on, I might get picked up for copyright, because someone's put some music on in the background. But with that being said, join me back in a bit, and I will go. I'll see you in Romsey, and then I'll be able to explain as to what's happening next. See you in a bit, guys. Welcome back, guys. You've just joined me at the back of 66. Now, I'll tell you what absolute palaver this has been. I mean, I'm still about 2 hours behind schedule at this point, because the absolute massacre that's been happening on the trains between London Waterloo and Clapham Junction. So all of SWR have been affected. The only thing I can think of doing now is we're now 4:45, and I've still got 2 more boundary stops left to find, and one of them is Heron, is the South Hants Ticket Zone boundary stop for this bus, but then I've got to traverse my way up to Winchester and then get down to Fisher's Pond, and that would be the South Hants boundary stop for 69 between Heron and Winchester. Now I cannot get the full bus between Heron and Winchester, because I've now missed what would have been the last bus that goes between Winchester and Heron. And now at the moment we'll be terminating at Wickham, and then after that they'll terminate at Wolverhampton Chase. This is what happens when the plans go pear-shaped, and if I back, guys, and you've just joined me outside the bus stop of the Potter's Heron. Now this is the South Hants Ticket Zone boundary stop for the 66. Now the one thing that I've noticed, and the same thing happens with any other buses that go up to Winchester, that there are no bus announcements. So there would normally, when I've been on the 700 and I've been on other buses in the Portsmouth area, you get what's called a next stop announcement. They're voiced by Rick Jackson, and then you've got other ones that are done by Amy. But this bus doesn't have them. And they should do, because you're missing out on some critical information, in the sense of, if you are on a 66 and you are on a South Hants day ticket, well, you're basically fucked, because you don't know where the boundary stops are. It's probably a good job I do these videos, so then you have an idea as to where to come off, at least, because otherwise you won't know. But yeah, this is the South Hants Ticket Zone boundary stop for the 66, and I've still got one left to go as well, because I've still got one left to go, and I'm already about 2.5 hours behind schedule, so I've long missed the last bus that would have taken me back to Heron. So either which way you look at it, I'm going to have to improvise. I've still got 2 railway vouchers left, so I think I'm going to have to use another one to get back from Winchester. But drive me back in a bit, because I'll take you on the back of another 66 and I'll make my way up to Winchester. See you in a bit, guys. Welcome back, guys. Just joined me now at the front of another 66. We're just going to make our way to Winchester. I've now got to face a major decision in this video, because I'm thinking at the moment I'm about 2.5 hours behind schedule, getting close to 3 hours. Because I've been stuck at Petersfield for 2 hours, I've been stuck in Frankfurt for about half an hour, and this bus is a bit late as well. So this is what happens. So this is probably like, it's not a major delay, but the SWR went horribly wrong, the station is still very wrong as well. But can't really blame anyone, because it's just out of control, just out of people's control, can't really help it. Now, I was thinking along the lines of, would there have been any buses that ran between here and Fisher's Pond, because that's where I need to go to next. But the decision that I'm trying to face at the moment, is, do I continue, or do I stop it at Winchester? But we'll just have to see what the 69s do at this point. But either which way you look at it, I will keep you updated, and you'll get to see what goes on as I chase down the last of the South Hants Ticket Zone boundary stops. I've done 4 so far, and there's 1 left. See you in a bit, guys, and I will be in Winchester to give you the final result. Welcome back, guys, and well, some really sad news actually. Unfortunately, I cannot continue finding the ticket zone boundary stops for South Hants, because I'm so far behind. What happened was, I thought there was a few extra buses, so it would have meant that I would have been able to continue, because you've got one at 25 to 7 and that goes to Portsmouth Jason. But the 3 buses that come after that one all run on a Friday only. Well, today is Thursday, so it just comes to show that wasn't possible. But I will point out at this point that the remaining,
to Southampton.
the last remaining boundary stop for the South Hants Ticket Zone would have been Fisher's Pond for the 69. And what I would have done, if I was able to, was come off of Fisher's Pond, cross the road, and then come back here and then get a train. But I can't do that now. So what I'm going to have to do now is I'm on the 1 going to Southampton, and then I'm going to pick a train up from there. But again, this is what happens when you end up 2.5 hours behind schedule, and you end up being majorly delayed in Petersfield, as I was earlier. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.